Back to School Without the Worry with Kim Fuller, life coach, and Belinda Watson, educational consultant with Tutor Doctor.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I just was testing. We are actually on air, so we're about to get started. Oh no, are they going automatically? I don't want them to go automatically, so I might have to play around with it.
So has our audience joined us?
I don't know. It says we have 0 viewers, so nobody's joined us yet. Stop whispering and mumbling. Is that what you're saying? So do you still see my screen?
I still see the Kim Fuller and the back to school slide.
Oh, okay.
But you may have to do something to let the people in.
Not that I know of.
So when they click on that link, they come right in?
They should. No problems.
We didn't test that part.
Marcella and Don Fuller are going to watch. There's 2 people who are supposed to be here, but it's just 7. So let me know when you want to get started. Just say, okay, Kim.
Do you see any other people?
Hold on. I have to flip around in order to get there. Excuse me. I have to practice talking louder. I have to change my screen and all that in order to get there. So it'll take me 2 seconds to look.
Okay.
And I see. Yes, somebody's on. You want to get started?
Okay, I don't see them on my side. Okay, but you see them there? Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I will start. Well, back to school without the worry. Kim Fuller and Belinda Watson, we put this together just for you, and we're so glad that you joined us today. We have some great information to share with you, but first, let's go over the overview. Our purpose for today is to bring some order into our life, to eliminate the stress and the feeling of powerlessness and the overwhelming feeling that we have because of all the uncertainty. But you know, I was thinking today that back to school is kind of like starting a new year. We can put all the things behind us that happened last year or what happened just before the summer ended. We can put all that aside and start afresh. We can take another look at the things that we used to do every day and make some changes. There was one quote that I saw from John Lilly who says, "Our only security is in our ability to change." Isn't that great that we can change, that we can take a look at what we do normally every day and change it and make it better? And that's what we're planning on doing with our routines. We're going to talk about the importance of planning, the importance of building routines, importance of measurements, and how to resolve the conflicts and unplanned events.
This is Kim Fuller, and we have an ambitious agenda, as you see. And the reasons, we're going to really talk about the reasons to plan and give you some sample morning routines that you can apply to morning, afternoon, evening, like after school, before bedtime kind of routines. We're also going to share with you some of those life happenings that can get in the way of you building your routine. And we will cover the elements or components along with a way to assess if your routine is being successful or if you need to make some changes or adjustments depending on what's happening in your family and in your household. And at the end of this webinar, we'll provide you with what to do next, where you can find some support and continue learning and growing with us. And we also plan to save some time at the end for question and answers. So I'm Kim Fuller, and I am one of your hosts tonight. I am a life coach, and I am founder and CEO of Fuller Life Concepts. And that is a life coaching business that works primarily with solo parenting moms who spend a lot of their energy saying, I got it, versus, can you help me? And their whole concept of going through, I got it so much leaves you feeling overwhelmed and overworked and frustrated. And so I have created a step-by-step system that I call the Fuller Lifestyle System, which shows you how to have more time, make more money, and have more fun in a very short amount of time. So I'm also a radio show host, and my show is Change is Personal on the Amazing Women of Power Radio Network. I'm also an author and have a book coming out, Mommy Divas on the Move, 16 Essential Secrets for Mompreneurs, and that book comes out September 24th of this year. And I'm also a mom of a 4-year-old daughter. And I hope to bring with you and give you information that you can actually use starting tonight.
And I'm Belinda Watson. I'm an education consultant with Tutor Doctor. Tutor Doctor has been around for 15 years and is an international company that is all over the United States, Canada, Mexico, and 14 other different countries. The purpose of Tutor Doctor is to make a difference in our customers' lives one by one. And we do that academically by providing tutors for pre-K to adult learners in all subjects. And we start off with the free consultation where I come out and meet you and meet the student, meet the family to identify all of your needs and your goals and how you best learn so that I can match you to a great tutor. Tutor Doctor is a great company and it's all about making a difference one person, one client, one student at a time. So let's talk about the importance of planning. Summer is over and we're back to school season. Naturally, we know our daily routine is going to be different and we automatically start to adjust. And although each of us have different activities we perform, moms have a routine, mom has activities, our students have activities, our children, everyone in the family has a certain role to take. It naturally falls into certain categories. And it falls into a morning routine, a homework time routine, evening, and a weekly planning routine. Now, why are all of those things important? When I did a bit of study, I'm going to call the Benjamin Franklin card. Benjamin Franklin, he had a rigorous daily routine, and I was so surprised. If he had to have a routine, I know I had to have a routine. His routine was successful. He asked himself in the morning, what good shall I do in this day? And at the end of the day, what good have I done today? And for every hour, he had components of his days. Like in the morning, he rose at 5, and he had certain activities he did. Then he started work at 8. Then he had lunch. He worked, did some other things and included some times for some social activities. And at 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning, he slept. Now, who am I to fight with Benjamin Franklin, who established a daily routine? Aristotle also said that good habits formed at youth make the difference. So it is our responsibility to be able to share with our young ones, and even our not so young ones like myself, that we need to have some routines and some order in our life. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. And when Kim goes and talks about some of the barriers and the components of a routine, have an open mind, because it is important that to have academic success, that we know why we are doing the things that we are doing. So John Connolly, he wrote the book of Lost Things, says, "We all have our routines," he said softly, "but they must have a purpose and provide an outcome that we can see and take some comfort from, or else they have no use at all. Without them, they are like the endless pacings of a caged animal. If they are not madness itself, then they are a prelude to it. We don't want to be running around like a mad dog in a cage. What we want is to have some order, and we do have some purpose, and we do have an outcome that we want to accomplish, and we can do that with a successful routine." Kim?
So when you talk about routine building, the first thing that comes up is the fact of what are the things that are going to be barriers and keep you from being successful in creating a routine that is useful and is actually going to be constructive. And I consider there kind of be three categories in that. One is what I call the go with the flowers. And those are people who resist routine because they think it's boring. It feels too organized and too scheduled. And the problem with that is that if you're just a go with the flower, you haven't necessarily created the systems that are going to help you to be successful in a routine without chaos and stress and overwhelm. The other family members or other parents or other people in the house might have a different style. Therefore, sometimes their goals may be different, which are misaligned. And that is, some people I would call the sleep longers, and those are people who would prefer to sleep in the extra 10, 15, 20 minutes versus getting up and following through on routine. And then there's those people who are really looking for trying to figure out ways to have a stress-free morning. And so they are really trying to have routines. And so between the two of those, sometimes the goals are different. If you want to sleep in versus you want to have a stress-free routine, you actually have to talk through it. And then there's a third group of people who kind of just wing it, more because they don't have any systems or routines, not so much just because they want to go with the flow or that they're resistant to schedules. And so any of these three parameters could be significant barriers to you building a routine. Now, when you are creating a routine, there are some components that are really important to consider. And that is to create parameters or boundaries around the routine. What I mean by that is a clear start, a clear stop. And sometimes implementation of a timer might be useful. So here's an example. My daughter, she is 4 years old, and she likes to do things on her own, especially when she was 3. She was at that stage where she really had the desire and the determination to do things, but not necessarily the skills to follow through and finish them. So she would be sitting at the breakfast table saying she would do it herself, and when I turn around, she's still at the breakfast table eating her oatmeal like 20, 30, 40 minutes later. So I realized that if I set a timer and I told her, you only have 15 minutes to eat your meal, and when the timer goes off, you have to go to the bathroom and we'll go brush your teeth, she was able to understand that there was a clear beginning, a clear ending to her breakfast routine, and that once the timer went off, she didn't know how much time because she didn't have that kind of ability, but she was able to understand that there was a specific structure and routine that happened for us every morning. And what this does is it creates consistency, it creates a rhythm, it creates some kind of a regimented idea that is clear to all of the members in the family. It's also easier to be predictable when you already know what the routine is, you already know the schedule. And it's also an opportunity to be able to monitor and to delegate when necessary. For example, if you have somebody coming over, a family member, a neighbor, somebody who needs to babysit or watch your children, everybody already knows the routine and they can just slide right in. So that kind of creates this nice fluid opportunity for everybody. There's clear parameters, which help it to really speak to it, making it easier to especially get back on track when there are other things that could be a barrier. For example, vacation or illness or extracurricular activities that really can throw you off your routine. And so it's important to have these parameters and these routines that are changeable and fluid, but aren't like really rigid. I also want to say that when you are creating a routine, you want it to really flow with your natural body rhythm and society. So you don't want to go against those either. We naturally are programmed to go to sleep when it's dark outside, to wake up with the sun. Our circadian rhythm is natural. We fight against it sometimes for different reasons. Sometimes we just want to buck the system, sleep in late or whatever. So I want you to consider when you're creating a routine that there's also two different types of motivation to consider. And there's internal and external, which is intrinsic and extrinsic kind of motivations. And that is, do you follow through on things because you enjoy personal success, or do you do it because you don't want the consequence? If you do it for the personal success or the personal responsibility, you're more of an internally motivated person. If you do it because you don't want other people to talk about you or judge you, you're more doing it for an external reason. And the reason this matters is that it will help later on when you're talking about ways to stay on track and stay motivated with your routine. Whether you use rewards and which type will work for you, or whether you use consequences and which type will work for you and your family. So keep in mind also whether you're internally or externally motivated to follow through on the changes that you make to your routine. So when you're building a routine, there's, obviously there's all kinds of things that happen in a routine, whether that's in the morning, after school, before bed, around all those different areas. And one of the things that I realized is that in the morning when I have a meeting earlier than normal, that's when there seems to be a lot of chaos because there's been some shift in the schedule. Mainly my schedule, not so much my daughter's. And it seems as if there's those times when everything takes longer, you can't find things, the lunch isn't fixed, can't find the extra sock, and all these other things just kind of become chaotic. And I realize I put a lot of things into our morning routine. It's important for me to spend that time in the morning, at least an hour to myself. It's important that we have a breakfast that is cooked, a hot meal at home in the morning. It's important for me sometimes to do a load of laundry. It's important for me to work out. It's important for me to make sure I do my hair. Think about all these things that you add in your morning routine. And I realized when I sat back and I looked at how much time it actually took to do all the things I want to get done in the morning, it took me like 3 to 4 hours. If we have to get out of the house by 8, that means I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get them all done. And is that reasonable? So there are a couple of questions you want to ask yourself. One, what are the things that you want to keep in your routine and that are not negotiable? The second question is, what are things that you can delegate and give to some other family member? And then the third question is, what are the things that you need to discard or move to another time? So the most common and easy one is to fix lunches the night before and put them in the refrigerator. That's an easy one to just move to another time. Another is, forget about trying to do laundry in the morning. Just discard that. Throw that away. Do that another time. Or pay somebody to do it. Another one that's kind of common that people use often is when it is about the clothing, because that's one challenge that me and my daughter have in the morning, is what is she going to wear? If I pick something out, chances are she's not going to like it. But then it takes her extra time to find her own outfit. So we do that the night before or even a week in advance, and we set all of her clothing out. I had a coworker who used to do that. He used to set all of the 5 outfits he was going to wear for the week. He used to do that on Sunday. Done. His morning routine was smooth. So those are the 3 questions you want to ask yourself when you're building routine. What are you going to keep? What do you need to delegate to somebody else? And what do you need to discard or move to another time to make it so that you are not having this overwhelmed, stressful morning?
So once you do and consider all the things that Kim just mentioned, you also have the component of measurement. You need to always take a look at your routine and measure it against your goal to see if you are achieving what you want to achieve. So one part of it is to review your week or review the day or review the morning and see, did you actually obtain the objective that you want? Kim mentioned having some type of reward system. Maybe you have one for yourself, or maybe you have some for your children, or maybe you should institute some for your children, that if they do certain things on time, 3 days out of the week, or whatever is the reward, is that reward working? Do you have to adjust that reward? Those are the things you have to consider in your routine that you created for yourself. You also have to be aware of the situations that could arise, that do arise, especially when you're wanting to go out the door, like Kim was saying. You have these impromptu meetings, you have to get to work earlier than planned, people have to wake up earlier, you have a final, you have an exam that's due, or quiz, a pop quiz that's going to be tomorrow. I mean, you have all these situations that arise that could impact your routine. But nevertheless, you take a look at your routine and review it. Measure it against your objective and actually put a quantitative number on it. Not, well, it felt that way, or I think I did. Actually measure it. I'm not discounting your emotional cues, because sometimes that's all you have. You take a look and you say, you know, at the end of this week, I don't like how it went. And I don't care about the numbers. I know for a fact that next week I do not want the same thing to happen. Both your emotional cues and the ones that you measure, you need to take a look at to see if your routine is successful. Once you've reviewed it, measured it, it's time to take time to look and ask those questions again that Kim just mentioned and make adjustments. Add, change, delegate, or remove. Go
Sorry,
ahead, Kim.
that was too fast. I apologize for that. Well,
Well, I do want to say one thing though, as far as the measurements concerned. The measurements also, because of the things that happen, and because we live in an information age, and things are thrown at us and bombarded with us all the time, we need to be able to include that those things can happen and can make us, force us to make adjustments in our routine. So again, we just need to measure by reviewing, taking a look at our numbers, how we feel, and then change as needed. Go ahead, Kim.
so there will be challenges. There will be pushback, especially if it's something new you never tried before. There will be people who will not want to follow through just because they don't think you're being serious. There will be members who will not do anything because they just hate routines and structure. There will be arguments and disagreements and all of the above. And I just want to say expect it, because conflict is natural when you're making changes. We have our own internal conflict and our own internal ambivalence around making changes. So imagine what it feels like to everybody else in the family who may or may not have bought into this whole concept of a routine, who may or may not have bought into the idea of having structure, and just expect conflict. One of the things that I remember from when I was studying um, counseling is Virginia Satir. She's a noted psychotherapist. And one of the things that she used to say is, in differences, we grow. In similarities is where we come together. Did I say that backwards? Probably. So when we are different, we begin to grow. And the things that we find that are common is where we share and we love and we connect. And so realizing that conflict is not necessarily a negative thing, it's just an opportunity for people to grow. And all the places where you're really similar, it's an opportunity for you to connect. So when you are beginning to implement changes, I highly recommend you sit down and have conversation with the family, and you utilize reflective and active listening to actually sit back and you hear what are some of the concerns, what are the frustrations, what are the challenges that your other people in the family are experiencing. And then you say that back to them, you replay it. And the thing in mind, keep in mind, is that when you replay it back to someone, you want to also include how it is that you've heard them say they feel, whether or not they used a feeling word. So if, my daughter says, "Oh gosh, Mom, every time you set a timer for me to eat oatmeal, I'm not ready to do it," and it just, I already know that that is frustration. So I would reflect back to her, wow, when I set the timer for you to have breakfast, you're really feeling frustrated. That helps people to feel heard and listened to. It may feel a little ridiculous, but it also helps to clarify what are the issues and the problems and the challenges that you can begin to address as you create the schedule and the routine. And so our nature, our deep inside of us, is that we are always yearning to be heard and to be understood. And one of the things that happens is once that happens, it's much more smoother of a conversation. You are more likely to have people buy into the process because they feel like their needs are going to be met within the routine. It turns into a bigger picture for everybody where they can see your goal is to make it a smoother morning so that all of the things and elements that we need to be successful are in there. That it's easier to have a smoother afternoon when you get home from school and when it's homework time and when you're in the middle of the evening trying to study and get the projects done. There is these parameters and the routine set up and a structure that everybody can rely on and count on. And then it also helps you to know the things that you may not have considered. The extracurricular activities, the illnesses, the projects, the out-of-town guests, the vacations, all of those things that may or may not have been considered can be discussed at the time, and then you can hear and understand and appreciate what's happening for everybody. Because sometimes we get gung-ho about what we want to do and make changes, and we don't necessarily consider how it's impacting other people in the household. And the whole goal is to decrease overwhelm, decrease stress, and increase our opportunities for success and for calm. And so the goal is to see all of the perspectives and include as many as possible to make it a win-win solution. And I really appreciate the cartoon that's on the picture because it's looking at a significant challenge, right? This person is saying, sure, I'm hungry, right? And they see that there is like these blades that are going to sharp that you have to get through in order to get to the other side, which is a piece of cake. And you know what? Challenge accepted. Sometimes the barriers in front of us are that deep for us and they're that dangerous feeling emotionally. And there's always ways to resolve conflict. And I want to encourage you to think through the best ways to do that for you and your family. So we also came up with a sample morning routine, and that is having a specific wake-up time, and that be very consistent. It doesn't matter what age you or your children are, our bodies naturally go through a rhythm. And I think that having this specific and very consistent wake-up time really helps to set the framework for how the rest of the day and the week is going to go for you. I encourage every parent to have private time for themselves, whether you use that for meditation, exercise, watching TV, it doesn't matter. You need to have some time just for you where you are able to exhale, I don't know, do whatever it is that you need to do to get yourself ready for the morning and for the day ahead. And then, of course, you need time to get dressed. I encourage everybody to have breakfast at home. It's not always possible, but you really encourage that because it's an opportunity for people to connect before they get started on their day. The children need to get dressed, whether they are capable of doing it themselves or not. There's some kind of process that happens with that. And then, you actually get to sit down and eat breakfast for a few moments. And then there's this idea of leaving the house with a clean kitchen and getting out the door and then traveling to school and then to work. That's a lot to put into a morning routine, but it is possible to get all of that done in your morning routine if it's structured and if it is consistent and if everybody buys into it and realizes there is some positive outcome from all of this routine, this structure, this system. And I think when it comes to the mom's routine, and I have a special affinity for moms because a lot of times we take on most of the responsibility for the household, whether that's because we have to because of the dynamic of our lives or whether that's we choose to because we feel that that's our role. It doesn't matter. We still have often been the ones who held the most responsibility for managing the household. And there are things that I want to encourage you to keep into your routine, because remember, there are 3 questions to ask, and one of them is, what do you need to throw out? I discourage you from throwing out the time for yourself. Even if it's 10, 15 minutes of quiet meditation, you deserve that. Even if it's 20, 30 minutes of exercise, yes, I'm going to encourage exercise. Um, I also want to discourage you from skipping any meals, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or snack. It doesn't matter. Our bodies need that nourishment, and having this eating schedule on a routine is most beneficial to your mentality, to your vitality, and to your health. And then also to make sure that you do have enough time for rest. I know there are times when we need to get up really early, 4 a.m., depending on what's happening in the morning. And then there are times when you can't go to bed till 11, 12, 1 because there's one of your children has this project that they kind of waited till the last minute, and there's all these challenges. So those times should happen far and few between. The idea is for you to get a significantly well-balanced amount of rest each night. And so the other part is that planning is not optional, that the routine components need to also include things that are age appropriate in terms of tasks. And I liken it to when a 2-year-old, one of the biggest challenges with a 2-year-old, and the reason they have probably so many tantrums and seem emotionally dysregulated, is because they have such a desire to do things, but they don't have the language capacity, nor do they necessarily have the skill, right, at 2, but they have the desire. They want to walk, they want to talk, they want to read, they want to write, they want to do it themselves, but they aren't able to do that. Then when they get to 3, they have much more of a language and a cognitive ability to share that. They have a little bit more ability to actually follow through and complete certain tasks. But it takes them so much longer than it would for you. So that's a whole nother stressor at 3. Then at 4, they kind of mastered it, and they kind of gotten to the place where they can tell you what it is that they want to do much more clearly. And they're able to master more techniques at that time. Unbuckling their seat belt, eating by themselves, trying to put their clothes on by themselves. There's a lot of other techniques that they're able to do on their own. And so one of the things that I encourage is for you to think through what's going on for your child in terms of development, and applying these 3 developmental phases that I talked about, 2, 3, and 4, to the concept of you creating a routine. At the beginning, you're not going to necessarily have the languaging, you're not going to necessarily have the skills, and you're going to feel like a 2-year-old. Then you're going to kind of get it, you're going to get the languaging, you guys are going to have a system put in place, but there's still going to be bumps in the road. It's going to take longer than you planned. And then you're going to move into this 4-year-old phase where you're going to have more mastery, you're going to have more confidence, you're going to be able to move through it easier and quicker, you're going to be able to ask for what you need, you're going to be able to share some of the ups and the downs and the successes. So just think of that when you're thinking of measurement and assessment, because I think that's part of success. And you need to be able to measure and to assess whether or not what you're doing is working. And then, of course, you don't want to forget that when it does work, even if it's a small little thing that went well that day, like you didn't forget the lunch pail or everybody got to school on time, you need to celebrate that. And then there's also the other side. When things aren't going well and somebody's really trying to not follow through, whether that's the child or the parent or whomever, there needs to be some consequence that helps them to get back in line. Maybe that's removal of some privilege. Maybe that's extra chore. Maybe that's they get delegated an extra task. Something that's going to actually enhance the routine, not necessarily just be a punishment.
And so then it's our students. And I have a respect for our students of all ages, our young ones, and even our students who are in middle school and in high school. I humbly respect all the things that you consider in your day. But nevertheless, building a routine now is going to be the most important thing that you can ever have and do in your life, because it's something that's going to make you successful in school, successful in business, successful in making the dreams that you want come true. And we want your dreams to come true without you being so stressed and without you feeling overwhelmed, without having all of the things that come from your phone and from your friends and from school come bombarding you with all the things that you must do, and you have to measure that against the things that you want to do. So is so important when we talk about the why. The why is very important to you, the student, because the why is going to differentiate you from everyone else. And you are unique, and you are special, and you are important, and you can achieve your goals. And the way to do that is to identify your why, determine what it is that you want to achieve in life, and even if it's just to means to make your parents proud, that is a goal. The goal can always change, and it does change as you grow older. So, but the most important thing that we want you to take away today is that you build those routines. And the routines that you build are going to be the ones that's going to help you academically achieve the goals you want. So, academic is so much more important than all the other reasons for going to school and being the making your dreams come true. So, what I noticed in most students, and did happen in my daughter as well, is that we sacrificed ourselves for and became more a part of the we. You know, it's the club, it's the group I hang out with. All of those people became so more important that we forgot to make time for ourselves and search to find out what is important to ourselves that could be different than the group that you're hanging with. So it's so important in your routine that you spend some time with yourself, even if you're building a journal or you are just collecting your thoughts in your phone. But it's important to capture your thoughts and look at it and measure and see where it is that you really want to go and differentiate yourself from others. You should always keep in your routine a time to eat. That is one of the, and eat well and eat right, not eat junk, but eat good food, food that is going to be nourishing and it's going to help you focus. For some people, drinking some of these caffeinated drinks is just too much. It's over makes things worse. So evaluate what you're eating and why you're eating, and eat something healthy instead of just grabbing snacks. And it's so important to get some rest. I know your days are so busy, and it's really tempting to stay up to 2 o'clock in the morning, just chatting and texting with your friends, but one of a study that I read says that one of the things that teens do the most is sacrifice their sleep. But that's the worst thing that you could ever do to meet your academic goals. So and I encourage you to keep rest within your routine. Now, one thing, and there's 6 things here to make a successful routine, especially for our students. You need to have a planner. There was a reason why a lot of schools gave out the planners, and the teachers are encouraging you to put entries into the planners. And the reason is because it works. It works. It takes all of the stress out of trying to remember everything and puts it down on paper, and it allows you to be able to see on paper and make a plan for yourself. So a planner is very important. You need to have a before and after school routine. No more leaving the work at home after you spent all evening coming up with doing your homework. If you have a good routine, that will not happen, and your mom and your father should not have to remind you. So this is something that if you're age appropriate, you should be able to do that by building a routine to make that happen, even organizing yourself. Also, we need to take time for ourselves to do some weekly planning. That's something that I don't see a lot of the students that I meet when they're struggling with subjects, or even when they're very successful and they're doing a lot of activities, is that there's not much planning. What do I have to do this week? What do I have to do in 2 weeks? Well, I don't want to cram and do everything in 2 weeks. It makes me crazy. I don't want to stay up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to get this paper done. Well, why don't I just do 15 minutes a day? What a difference your life will be. You also will need to have an accountability coach. Instead of using your mom and your dad as being the one to remind you when things are getting done, let them be your coach. Tell them that you're going to be responsible for your activities, and they will help you if you're planning. So it's different when you are approaching them for help as opposed for when they are coming to you to make sure you're doing your work. So do these things, evaluate whether it's working for you. If you're spending enough time on tests, are you spending enough time studying? Are you seeing the results on your report card? Is it taking longer to read some of the things that you're doing? Is it taking longer? It's taking longer than planned to write the paper. Are you putting in time to do your research? If you did and you made a plan and you made a routine, celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Team with your parents and team with your friends that when you meet your goals and your routine works, celebrate it. If it doesn't work, it's not its time to say you're bad. This is a time to make a change. So that is what I have for our students out there.
Okay, finally, in conclusion, let me just say this, and that is a quote from Peter Sellers. So in summary, there is, I think it's really important to expect there to be challenges, there to be conflicts, and that's just part of the change process. If you think about anything that you've tried to change in your life, whether that's the most common New Year's resolutions, the top few are usually lose weight, save money, and stop drinking, and those three things, of course, don't really happen. Why? Because there was never an understanding of the challenges that are before you when you're trying to make change. You have to plan, you have to develop a routine, and you have to be very specific and find reasons to follow through on that. Also, be kind to yourself when you fall away from whatever the routine that you had planned, and then figure out ways to get back on track. I think it's really important to keep the end goal in mind whenever it is that you're trying to make changes, whether that's in your routine within the house, whether that's within your own trying to find a way to make yourself more XYZ happy, more fulfilled, more fit, have more money, more wealthy. Also, no, it's not going to happen overnight. There's going to be stages of change that happens. You're going to start off with creating a plan and being gung-ho and going for it, and then things kind of falling apart. And then you're going to try to pick up the pieces and do it again and figure out another way to get its jump start on it. There's going to be some times when you lose momentum, you lose the encouragement, you feel like there's nothing's going to ever fall into place and get right. But you just have to remember you're not alone, and there are people out there willing to help and willing to provide you support. I do want to say that I encourage you to have a coach. Whether you are a student and you can use an accountability coach, whether you are a mom or a parent and you can use a life coach, but somebody other than your family member. Just like Belinda said, if you're a student and you are relying on your parents to help you follow through on all your tasks, that's quite a burden on the relationship, and you could be getting more assistance from an accountability coach who's created a structure that can really help you do that. And then you can have the time with your parents a lot less stressful. Also, allow yourself to have rewards, and reward yourself for things that are going to make you happy and excited and also fulfilling. And also make sure that you give yourself appropriate consequences and or any family members all along the way, so you get both. And consequences do not necessarily mean that it has to be negative or discipline or harsh or abusive or anything like that. A consequence can be something that is right in line with the whole concept of creating routine. Like I said earlier, a consequence could be if somebody sleeps in late and causes the whole schedule to go off. Maybe the consequence is for that person to have an alarm and they wake up some other family members. Maybe if the person is falling behind in terms of their work routine because they are not staying with the parameters of the after school program, whatever it is that you guys have created around homework and you're turning in assignments late. Maybe their consequence is that they have an extra assignment. Maybe their consequence is that they, have to spend an extra 30 minutes organizing their papers the next day. Something that's going to help keep things in the routine, and they're going to create more structure and more reinforcement for the routine of the schedule you're creating. And also, there is a lot of opportunities to get more information, to get more opportunities for the success and for the support that you need. And you may need help. And we have opportunities that we're going to share with you on how we can help you get further along in creating routines for yourself, for your family, and most of all for school success. So next steps. So I have a workshop, and it's called Taking Charge of Change. And it's where you will learn exactly what you need to get more freedom, make more money, and have more fun. And the reason I created this workshop is because I realized that there are many times when I forget how to have more freedom, how I can make more money, what kind of changes do I need to make in my mindset, what kind of opportunities do I need to kind of take advantage of, and have more fun. Being a mom does not mean that you're only a mom. There's so many other assets to your identity. There's so many other opportunities you have, and oftentimes we get bogged down in the rhythm of just being a mom or just being a wife that we forget to have fun, whether that's with our family or with the girls or with ourselves. And I will give you my 5-step formula that'll help you to get more freedom, make more money, and have more fun. And this workshop is October 5th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to be held at the Long Beach City College. And if you want to register, you can go to fullerlivepages.net/take charge workshop. And that is the specific page dedicated for you to get a little more information and to sign up right there for this workshop. If you sign up and you register before the end of tomorrow, which is Wednesday, it'll only be $70. The normal price is $97 for this opportunity to take charge of the change. I think it's an exciting opportunity for you to also be able to network and get support from other people in the workshop who are at different levels of change for themselves. Some people may be just brand new and trying to figure out what to do with themselves, new to the community, new to trying to figure out their own self-empowerment. And there might be other people who have been going to self-improvement workshops and trainings, and they're much more advanced in their process, but they wanted to, get another idea or have another opportunity to share their information and their successes with others. And this is an opportunity to network and to have opportunities to create quality connections with other people. So I encourage you to act now. There's limited space. We're taking charge of change, a workshop where you can learn exactly what you need to get more freedom, make more money, and have more fun.
I think that's awesome, Kim. And then from Tutor Doctor, we also have a great program that's designed to improve your XSkills. And just by the way, Tutor Doctor, we do provide tutoring service for pre-K to adults, and we cover all subjects: SAT, math, foreign language, English as a second language, ACT. We cover everything. So if you need help and your student is struggling, and that's the reason why they're spending so much time on their homework or not spending enough time on their homework, please give me a call. But this is a program built around building some successful routines. And I'm glad to be working with my church, Faith Presbyterian Church Academic Outreach, where they are providing this program free of charge to you. You only have to pay for the book, and it's $30 for each student because each student will need the book. And in this workshop, which lasts 8 weeks, you will learn together as a team how to get all your tasks, put all your tasks together, to identify and make a plan on how to complete those activities, how to include your day-to-day living your life, such as, attending soccer games, doctor's appointments, how you have to make those adjustments. All of those skills the student will be learning, um, teamed with their parent as being the academic coach. So you should register as a team, both the parent or whoever is going to be the academic coach and the student, to commit to coming for 8 weeks. This 8 weeks, this is something that I normally would offer, as a one-on-one, but I would tell you to take advantage of the special deal that the church is providing for you to make that happen. You will be successful. You will be able to learn how to manage the chaos in your life. You will reduce the stress. You will be more successful in school. You will feel better, and together you both, your academic coach and the student, will feel so much better that you were able to meet your goals because of attending the seminar. So you need to register right away because there's only a limited space allowed for this. So do it soon. And we'll be meeting at Faith Presbyterian Church. It's at 500 East San Antonio Avenue in Long Beach. XSkills is a wonderful program, and I look forward to seeing you there. So I think we have time for questions.
There were some. There was a question in the group chat. I'd have to go back. I'll have to go back and see if I can find the question in the group chat. It was around some more examples around consequences and rewards. Do you have any ideas, Belinda, around consequences and rewards for your routine?
Well, 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 I'm trying to be more on the student side because, of course, there's going to be consequences, and I guess on the parents. Well, let me just put it this way. For both our parents and our students, there are consequences. Which one do you want? Do you want the one there that makes you successful, or do you want the consequence that's going to make you unhappy? Do you want the consequence that means that you get an A on the test, or do you want the consequence of getting an F on the test? For every behavior, there is a consequence. And the sooner we realize that, the better. And that consequence concept starts at an early age because there are consequences when you're with your parents or when you're without the parents. So it's best to build a routine that and hone that routine to make it work, that you have more positive consequences based on the behaviors that you have. So do I have some examples? Well, the one example was when you go to school. I'm thinking of the student right now. You go to school, and this is September, and the teacher is giving you a curriculum, and in the end it says in December this paper is due. Well, the thing is to start. Don't put it to the side until November or the week before it's due. The time is now to put it down, take a look at it, see what it might involve, and put it into your planner to put a schedule of attack to it. As a grown-up, I have to say that even our best laid plans have challenges. I would get up in the morning and I went to go do something on my computer. Well, my computer doesn't want to work today. It's not performing, and I end up taking 5 or 6 days to get the computer fixed so that I can do that one thing that should have taken 15 minutes. So the lesson learned, don't wait till the last minute, number one. Number two is maybe have a backup plan and have a backup. Maybe I would have to, whatever is the task, I can use my phone, or I can use a tablet. And the third thing is to start early and include time for things to happen. So that's
Great.
what I have, Kim.
That was great, Belinda. And I know that was a question that's kind of caught you off guard, and you handled it really well. So there's a few more questions coming through on our group chat line. Another question is, what is the one thing to do tonight and in the morning to see immediate change in your routine? And I actually have an answer for that. So there is one thing that you can do tonight to see an immediate change in any of your routines, and that is to um, lay your clothes out for tomorrow. If you're not already doing that, that is going to take away a whole 5 to 20 minutes of time. Some people get up in the morning, they iron their clothes. Some people get up in the morning and they're trying to figure out what to wear. They're looking for the sock to match the shoe, etc. Lay out your clothes tonight. That's the one thing that will make significant change in your routine, is to get into the habit of doing that the night before. I did have one more thing that I thought that you could do tonight and you could see an immediate change in the morning, and that is to also spend some time before you go to bed planning what your day is going to look like tomorrow. What are the things that you have to do in your day for tomorrow? If you already have it in your cell phone or in your planner or written on a calendar, go and review that and just feel comfortable that all of those things are going to get done. So when you go to sleep, you can say, you know what, no worries on my mind. I'm going to go to sleep with a clear mind, because I think that's the other thing that we tend to do in the evening, is we begin to worry about what's happening the next day or the next week. If I forget something, it's going to be too many things in my schedule and you're going to feel overwhelmed. And then that disrupts your ability to have a good night's sleep. So those are two things that you can do.
So only other thing I can say is to make sure you get a good night's rest. And I can remember so many times that I got the answer to a problem that I was seeking by getting a good night's sleep. It's I don't know how that happens, but I wake up in the morning and there is the answer. So getting that rest and taking time to get some sleep, I also add that. Thank you.
Okay. And another question is it okay to keep changing the plan until we get the right combination? Is another question.
Definitely. Just don't change it too often. You do have to you want to give I want to take that back. You want to give it a chance to take effect. And then maybe after a day or two and everybody is sure of what their responsibilities are, and the consequences for what they choose to do, and then evaluate at the end of the week and make the changes. Change is going to happen, and change is because we are going to be different tomorrow, and our goals are going to be different tomorrow, and why we're doing the things are going to be different. And so if any of those things change, then of course our routine will have to change.
Great answer, Belinda. And I agree. I think that you have to give it a little bit of time, a day or two, maybe even longer. Maybe you might want to give it 3 days to kind
Hmm.
of work through some of the kinks. And then when you see that, just make small changes at first. Because if you just scrap it and start all over again, how are you going to know what works and what didn't work?
Hmm.
So just make some small changes. So maybe you make a small change in terms of a time. Maybe you make a small change in terms of what it is that you move, what it is that you delegate, what it is that you keep. Maybe you start to evaluate some of those things.
And also try new things. Incorporate in your routine to try new things. Why not do your homework as soon as you come home? What an idea. Or why not do that first before you play? What an idea. Or why not go ahead and have that little break, but then set the time at 6 o'clock. I will start my homework and I will not be distracted. Try that. Or I can't spend a whole hour working on one task. I need to have some breaks. Okay, set a timer for 15 minutes. Give yourself 15 minutes to focus in on that particular task. You're not multitasking, that you're focusing and you're doing it, and then allow yourself to have the 5-minute break. Yes, just try some new things, incorporate in your routine, see how it works, give it a little time to become a habit, and then adjust as needed.
Okay, we have time really quick for one more question, and that is, do we always schedule free time even if we don't complete the plan or the daily goals? And I have a quick answer to that. Yes, you always schedule free time. Many of my clients that I work with, they struggle with routines and answering, their own questions, and oftentimes their reaction or response is like a reflex. And it's because it comes from this place of negative, naughty notes, like post-it notes in their mind that are all negative around, oh, I can't follow through, I don't know how to do it, I'm not worthy, all these negative images. And so I work with moms to be a little more open to possibilities and just explore options and to reduce that overwhelm and those negative self-talk. So if you don't have free time where you can begin to nourish yourself and give yourself positive messages, regardless of whether you're a mom, a child, a father, etc., you need to have free time where you're able to nourish your spirit, nourish your soul, and nourish your mind. And so, yes, even if you don't complete it, you can give yourself that kind of free time where you do meditation or relaxation, or you read from, scripture or something that's going to nourish you.
You got it.
See? So I want to say thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. This is the end of our slideshow. I apologize for not knowing where to go from here. Um, Any final thoughts, Belinda, before we end?
No, I think everybody's on their way to building some great successes this school year, and I look forward to hearing from some of our listeners as to what they did and how it impacted their lives.
Yes. I too look forward to having communications with some of the listeners and the viewers. And don't hesitate to like us on Facebook or to send us a note letting us know how your routine is going. Have a great evening.
Goodbye.